Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 3 September 2022, coming to you today on a spectacular 84-degree sunshiny day. Nary a breeze a blowing. It's just calm and gorgeous. So it's been 2 weeks since day one of our Smoky Mountain motorcycle trip. Been back home for, gosh, 12 days, 11 days. And you know, something has happened. And it happens every year when we do our late summer Smoky Mountain bike trip. I look at my motorcycles in the garage and it's a beautiful day and I really don't want to ride them too much up here at Flatland Central. I thought maybe if I did this video today, it might get the blood pumping. I'll go for a ride later. So I've been promising you guys this video now for a couple weeks. And I think I've arrived at the final 5. So we're going to talk about, from my limited experience riding motorcycles swiftly in the Smoky Mountains, these are my top 5 pieces of road for riding on 2 wheels with a motor in the Smoky Mountains. So we've got some East Tennessee, we've got some Western North Carolina, and some North Georgia in the mix. So I'm going to read them to you from 5 to 1. Number 5, the Richard B. Russell Scenic Highway. Now it's kind of a hard piece of road to find because there's not a town on either end of it. So it's very close to 2 Wheels of Suches in northern Georgia. I miss my turn to get there every year, so don't worry if you do. Anyway, I don't know, it's probably 10 miles-ish, and it's beautiful. The pavement is very grippy. You see a lot of quartz reflecting in the surface. Very smooth pavement, and nice sweepers. We call it the mini Cherahalla Skyway. So you take those big long straightaways and sweeping carousels of the Skyway and you condense the whole thing down into 10 or 11 miles and you got the Russell. Beautiful piece of road. Number 4, US 129, but not the Dragon. So US 129 in Georgia, and this section of road runs concurrent with Georgia Highway 19. So from where 129 intersects the Alt 75 Georgia Highway south of Suches, then you head back north up 129/19 to the Blood Mountain Appalachian Trail Outfitter at the very top of the mountain. So that's probably another roughly 10-mile stretch of road. Big sweepers, and it is severely uphill if you're going from south to north. But the northbound lanes for most of that run have 2 lanes. So 2 lanes northbound, 1 lane south. 2 lanes up the mountain, 1 lane down. So on the weekends, when the Atlanta locals slide up there to North Georgia to have some recreation, they kind of own that piece of road. So most of the traffic will be bikes on the weekend. They will be using both of the northbound lanes. So don't do like I did the first year and confine yourself to 1 lane or you'll get run over, because those guys fly. That piece of road, not exactly a Harley Davidson or cruiser destination. It's where the sport bikes go to play, and oh, do they play. Number 3, also near 2 Wheels of Suches. In fact, it almost tees into the resort. Wolf Pen Gap Road. That is Georgia Highway 180 east from Suches over to, I can't remember, 129? Yeah. So Wolf Pen Gap, the first 4 miles or so are going to be residential, agricultural houses close to the road. You want to take it easy through there. But then when it starts to get into the hills, your side accesses become less, and the fun really starts. There was a hairpin, there still is a hairpin on Wolfpen Gap Road that was super treacherous because the middle of the hairpin was dense forestation, so you really couldn't see the severity of that corner until you were in it. Now, if you missed a sign that said 10 miles an hour, you probably lost your bike down a 100-foot cliff. It was a treacherous turn. Now they've cleared out the middle, so you can see it coming a lot better. Just a very fun piece of road. Pavement, yeah, a little edgy by the standards of the rest of my list, but still a fun piece of road. Now, number 2, and I'm making this number 2 for the masses because number 1 is number 1. But my personal favorite piece of road, and you guys probably know this if you've been watching, one end is in Robbinsville, North Carolina, on North Carolina Highway 143. The other end is in Tellico Plains, Tennessee, and most of the Skyway runs along that Tennessee 165 highway. So the Cherahalla is almost 50 miles, and once you get out of Robbinsville, out of Tellico Plains, so there are 40 miles basically of nothing but unbelievable highway, some scenic overlooks, some stopping points along the way, but really other than those, not a lot of side access. So the Skyway consists of some almost tight corners, not really a second gear corner on the main part of the Skyway for me. Most of them third gear, some fourth gear corners, and they're big, huge sweepers. You know, some 180-degree carousels that are fast. And then you've got straightaways. Now, if I'm riding with my buddy Russ, those straightaways become well north of 100 mile an hour straightaways. Yeah, it's a very, very fast piece of road. Now, it's a blast for the sport bikes, but it's a road that there's enough room to get around people and enough places to pull off, and the scenery is breathtaking. Great place for cruisers also. Just beware of the sport bikes. It's not really a very highly traveled road, even on a weekend. You can get her out and stretch her legs on the Skyway, and you will. It's like a clinic for cornering. You got so much time in those big carousels that you can experiment with 2, 3, 4 things. I'm talking body position, trail braking, maintenance throttle, lean angle. You can experiment all in the context of one turn. But when it's time to go on the Skyway, it's time to go. I always like to make that the last ride of my day because, well, it's just a great way to finish the day. So that's why we stay in Tellico Plains when we go. All right, before I get to number 1, I'm going to talk about 3 honorable mentions, and they're very honorable in no particular order. Georgia Highway 60 from Margaret to Suches. So Margaret is a little south of Blue Ridge and Morganton. That's where it gets good. And that last, that last 14 or 15 miles between Margaret and Two Wheels of Suches is just amazing. You know, it's a great warm-up if you're going to do those Georgia runs. You know, you're on the way into Two Wheels, you're on 60. You know, not super fast. It's just a good way to get the blood flowing. Then you get to Suches, you maybe, you know, have something to drink and then go hit Wolfpen. But for really an intro road to a destination, Georgia Highway 60 from Margaret to Suches. Next on the honorable mention list, Tennessee Highway 68 from Tellico Plains to Ducktown. Now, you got to be careful what day and what time of day you ride 68, because it's a road to and from work for a lot of people that live down there. Even sometimes on Saturday morning, you'll have a lot of traffic, tradesmen going out and getting their day started. But on an evening after dinner time, but before the sun goes down, it's just, for a lot of it, it's just a tunnel of trees. You're always riding from shade to sun and sun to shade. So it really puts your skills of perception to the test. And then the corners are beautiful. The pavement is like black velvet. The corners are well laid out. They just seem to have a great shape for riding quickly. And again, that's another piece of road that cruisers are going to enjoy, as well as sport bikes. And then the last one on the honorable mention, and I'm going to put this one firmly in the cruiser genre, because the Foothills Parkway, running from 129, which is that back end of the Dragon by the lake, from 129 to Weirs Valley. So you'll go through Merville, and then when you get to Weirs Valley, you've got some cool local attractions there. It's great blacktop, great scenery, great turns. However, it's marked 25 miles an hour in a lot of spots as the speed limit, not just a corner speed, because it is a very cager, tourist-friendly piece of road. You'll have a lot of slow traffic, so don't get on your Gixxer 600 and think you're going to rip it up, because you're going to be frustrated if that's how you approach it. But beautiful, beautiful Smoky Mountain scenery on the Foothills Parkway. Okay, so that's the top four. Well, that's number 2 through number 5 and some honorable mentions. It's time to get to number 1, and this is going to be no surprise to anybody. And I know there's a cottage industry on motorcycle YouTube channels to make videos about lists of roads that are better than the tail of the Dragon. Well, they're just not. So here's let me characterize the tail of the Dragon for those of you who haven't ridden down there, but you've heard of it. It's a legendary piece of highway. It is technical. The elevation changes are dramatic. The corner shapes they go from rhythmic to extremely awkward and difficult. There aren't too many fast sections of the tail of the Dragon. There is sort of a rhythmic section about a third of the way up, where you've just got some great transitions. That's a fast section of turns. Not too many straightaways, and if top speed is your thing, not the Dragon. So why is it so legendary? Because if you're riding quickly, if you're trying to get the best out of you and your motorcycle, the Dragon will flat wear you out in 10 minutes. It will wear you out. There will be, I don't know, a couple hundred blind turns. Yeah. And I know they say 11 miles, but it's really more like 9 from Deals Gap to the Lookout. I've never not been sweaty when I got done with the Dragon run. So it's going to be physically taxing. It's going to be mentally taxing, because you can't memorize 300 turns. You can't do it. Not once a year. Now, I've seen locals who can do that, but none of us out-of-towners. You'll have to think and guess through every turn on the Dragon. And if you guess, and you guess wrong, the consequences will be catastrophic. Many, many deaths on that piece of road. Many, many parts of motorcycles hanging from the tree of shame. But if you are if you ride motorcycle as a sport, a craft, something that you're always trying to be better than you were last time you ran. And you're looking for a piece of road to attack, to be rewarded with good performance and with consequences that are kind of severe. Tail the Dragon's it, guys. There's a reason it is universally known. It is unbelievable. It even comes with a random set of obstacles called car traffic. Even the occasional semi whose navigation program told him to turn onto this evil, otherworldly road. So you'll have cars, you'll have trucks, you'll have pickup trucks pulling RVs, and then you'll have Harleys. Of all the random obstacle types, the most frustrating is the Harley Davidson, especially the Harley Davidson with ape hangers and a passenger and a rider who's not nearly as impressive as his piece of rolling sculpture. Harleys get in the way, they make themselves wide, and they don't like to pull over. So, plan on spending an afternoon there, and if it's on a weekend, which I do not recommend, wait for a good gap and go. If you come up on traffic that is not courteous and won't move over, just be patient and then go run it again. It only takes between 10 and 13 minutes to run that thing. So don't get anxious about being anxious, because it will cause anxiety. We were talking on the trip one evening. I guess it was the last night that we were down there. What was your biggest pucker moment? Because there are 5 guys and 4 of us riding quickly, competitively, even, let's say. Not that we're racing, but one of Russ's moment was when he thought his front end was chattering, but he was really on rumble strips. I had to show him that in his video from his onboard camera, but that was kind of funny. It was an unmarked decreasing radius right-hander on the Skyway, and a corner I don't remember. We stopped at a place we never stopped, and we probably stopped past the sign marking the corner speed. So when we took back off, it just came out of nowhere. So Russ had a little bit of a double yellow cross followed by some front end chatter. I didn't do well in that corner either, but that wasn't my biggest pucker moment. My biggest pucker moment, remember, I hadn't been to the Tail of the Dragon since the crash last year. So our second day riding was our trip to the Dragon, and there wasn't one section of road that gave me the pucker moment. There wasn't really a corner that I blew. I blew one, but I blew it on an inside right-hander, so I could see the oncoming lane for a long way, and I just sort of bailed and crossed the center line. But that wasn't a pucker moment. The pucker moment was pulling out of the parking lot at Deal's Gap, climbing that approach ramp on the way to the Dragon. It was in my head, guys. It was in my head. The corner I crashed on was in my head. I never had anxiety the whole trip after the crash, except leaving that parking lot to go run that Dragon. It's like the jaws of motorcycle roads. You'll never leave the parking lot at Deal's Gap without thinking about it. Just like the shark, you'll never go in the water, salt water, without thinking about that shark. So yeah, Tail of the Dragon, the #1 motorcycle road of the Smokies, my personal list. Hey, so you riders out there, jump in the comments. I haven't been everywhere. And you might even have different opinions if you've been the same places I have. So interested to hear your takes in the comments. Please start a lively and polite discussion. That's all for this one. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember, The word is sharp. Keep the shiny side up, my friends. Talk to you soon.